Hi guys, welcome back to another episode of the Metamorphosis podcast. I'm your host Brianna. Today we're going to be talking about ways that God speaks to us, or He can speak to us, or the different ways that we may tend to overlook how He does speak to us. I'm going to start by reading Job chapter 33, verses 13 through 15. Why are you bringing a charge against him? Why say he does not respond to people's complaints? For God speaks again and again, though people do not recognize it. He speaks in dreams and visions of the night when deep sleep falls on people as they lie in their beds. The biggest point that I feel like I got from that verse was we're always asking God for something, or we're always giving God our pity party of what's going on in our lives and how we feel about something and all our problems, and oh my gosh, God, just answer my prayer. Why aren't you listening? Why aren't you answering what I'm asking you when I'm really trying to seek you? But what if God has been talking to you the entire time? Just completely went over your head every single time He has spoke and tried to give you an answer. I know He looks at us sometimes and He's like, bro, come on, human, like, come on. A lot of times we do overlook when God speaks to us because I feel like sometimes we can get so hyper fixed on this one particular way we expect or think God is going to speak to us. But we have to remember, like, God is omnipresent. He can speak through people. He can speak through nature. He can speak through animals, insects. He can speak through your thoughts. Most importantly, He will speak through that word. Everybody is different. Now, He might speak to some people more in one way than somebody else the other. But the moral of the story is He's not going to have a niche in how He's going to talk to you. I'm just going to list some ways that God can speak. The first one is dreams and visions. We can think about back in the Bible how God spoke to a lot of people in the Bible through dreams and visions with warnings and things for them to do, instruction, especially like with the prophets and stuff. God speaks to us a lot of ways in our dreams too, but we don't pay attention to that. We just think you go to sleep one night and, oh, I just had a weird dream that one of my closest friends had morphed into a snake, or she had the tongue of a snake and kept trying to fight me. But it was weird. I don't know. You don't think that's God telling you that that friend is a snake? Sometimes God does give the dreams and visions plain of what the message He's trying to give you to, but a lot of times it's never His message to us in dreams and visions is never literal. If God is trying to tell you in a dream that there's somebody around you going behind your back, He's not gonna actually, most of the time, He won't let it play out in your dream as if that person is doing exactly what He's trying to tell you. Most of the time, it'll come through as a big snake will come bite you, or it'll be a specific color snake, or you'll fall into a trap or something. So it's never going to be literal of what exactly, unless, now sometimes, and I will share some of my experiences too, most of the time it is in a different way you're going to have to interpret it. But sometimes if He know you're not going to understand it any other way, and I will share with you guys some examples of mine for two, like, because if He know you're not going to move or you're not going to get this person out your life unless He has to be flat out and straight about it, He's just going to play it out in a riddle. Because I always joke with God, I'm like, God let us speak in riddles, like, and I even think about, but I see what's familiar, I see the pattern. I see the pattern even in the Bible, how Jesus talked in a lot of riddles and parables, right? And I feel like that is the same way how God speaks to us in dreams and stuff too. So it is going to take some praying and some guidance from the Holy Spirit to fully understand what some of those things are in our dreams. But I will always just say, even if you may have a multitude of 5-6 dreams that feel completely irrelevant to you, but there's like one particular plot or one particular thing you saw in one dream out of all 5 of these dreams, and that's the only part you remember or that keeps sticking with you, that's most likely the one thing that God is trying to tell you that He wants you to pay attention to in the dream that He gave you. So be mindful of that and write down your dreams as well, guys. Like, sometimes we'll have dreams and we'll completely forget about them, but years later, had we wrote them down or something, it would have made complete sense about the circumstances that we're in our life now. So sometimes He be doing a subtle foreshadowing thing too in our dreams as well. I am going to say too, there is a difference between dreams and visions. I'm just going to share from my experience between having dreams and having visions. What are some things that I was able to discern between the two? for me to help me like realize if I was having a dream or if I was having a vision. Dreams feel more like you're watching a movie play out, and it's more like pre-scripted. Most of the time you're probably watching kind of like from a third person point of view. You can't really control what happens. You don't really have no sense of your own thoughts and conscious of it. Now visions, and God can speak equally as loud through both of them, but visions feel more real. Sometimes they'll still be third person, but a lot more it'll be first person. A lot of things that I do notice is it's kind of more like you're watching the movie, but you're aware of what you currently know. You get what I'm saying? Like, and when I say that, I mean like you can be conscious of your thoughts and what you currently know, like in the world. In a vision, you could be watching yourself, or you can be in first person watching yourself do something that you know you wouldn't do in reality, and you're looking, and while you're watching yourself doing this, you're kind of like, ew, why am I doing this? I don't want to do this. I don't do this in person. Like, you know, you're aware of your own conscious and what you currently do and what you know, right? It's not as, it is scripted, but you can kind of narrate off of your own, your conscious. You can also feel as well. You can like feel what's happening. Like if you're vomiting, you can like actually feel it. Or if you're getting hit, you can feel it. It feels like you're living it, and you are feeling every bit of emotion, and every bit of it physically as well. And you're also aware of your conscious mind, and you are able to know, oh, this isn't right. I'll give you guys an example. I really hope that didn't sound confusing. There was a point where I was fighting with, or I'm not even gonna say I was fighting, I was being attacked by the spirit of homosexuality. And that's another thing, guys, too. The enemy can come, and spirits can come harass you in your dreams and in visions as well. Honestly, I was being consistently attacked by the spirit of homosexuality, and I knew it was the spirit of homosexuality because I kept having these really perverted dreams of me doing sexual things with a female. I'm gonna say it was a vision because I was conscious of my mind now, knowing and aware of that I wouldn't do something like that, and I'm not into that. It was first person point of view, but it was also like it was switching back and forth. Like I was first person, but then at the same time I was also kind of watching it in third person too. I was having sexual relations with this girl as stuff is going on, and she's telling me to do stuff to her, and in my head I'm like, why am I doing this? I don't want to do that. Like I literally remember thinking like, I don't want to do this. Why am I in this situation? It's an example of how like when you're aware that you're doing things that you know you wouldn't do. I had multiple dreams like that as well, and I also had a really perverted one as well, that I was having sexual relations with a female in my church. So that was extremely perverted, and you know, stuff like that only comes from the enemy and when you're being attacked by a specific spirit, and that obviously was the spirit of homosexuality. And once I had finally realized that, okay, that's the spirit of homosexuality, so I prayed, denounced it, and I haven't had a problem nor felt like I've really been attacked by it since. Also be aware of what you're doing, especially if you have a vision and you're doing things you don't want to do, or if you're having sex in a vision and you know you're celibate, or you're re-rating to marriage with your partner, or you haven't even had sexual relations with somebody you may be with at the moment. That could be you being attacked by the spirit of lust, especially if you haven't been thinking about doing anything sexual. When you have visions and stuff like that, you're able to be aware of that, then pray about them. And if you catch yourself being caught up in doing things in them that you know you wouldn't do, you're most likely being attacked by a spirit, or that's God warning you about something that is trying to attack you. Even it could be a person around you with that spirit that is trying to get to you as well. Not all visions are spiritual attacks by demons. Now God does speak through visions as well. Like I'll tell you guys an example of when I was revealed to through 2 or 3 visions actually, that some girls or some friends that I had at the time, God had revealed to me how they were snakes. And like I said, it's never going to be literal. In this vision, I was walking through a park with this specific group of girls, and there were these huge, massive, if you've ever seen The Jungle Book, that's the best way I can explain it. These snakes were the size of the big snake in The Jungle Book, and they were pink. Some were white with pink stripes, but they were all like pink and had some type of pink in them. And then we keep walking down this path, and there's two huge snakes. There's one pink one, and then there's one black one with a pink neon stripe going down it. So then we start running from these snakes, and I find a place to hide. And one of the particular friends that I went to go hide with, we were together, and the snake had came and put its head on her and whispered in her ear, "You told me you would bring her to me." And the snake ate me after it told my friend that. Not everybody that was in the vision was a snake, but it did give me an idea, and I did kind of have a feeling of who it could have been. And just for confirmation, that night after, I had asked the Lord in all sincerity. I was like, you know, Lord, and he was very gracious enough to give me a dream, because most of the time when I ask for specific dreams, he doesn't give them to me. So I know, and me and him both know, if he doesn't really, when I ask for stuff like that, and he knows that if he really doesn't give me a straight up answer, I'm not going to move. I'm not going to leave the situation. So I truly feel like that is why he had enough grace to give me it flat out and show me. So after I had this vision, that night I prayed. I was like, man, because I was in denial with some of the girls in the vision that he had revealed to me were snakes. I was like, Lord, if these people really are snakes in my life, I ask that you pinpoint and let me know who exactly it is. Best believe that night after I prayed that, I went to bed. I said, let them show up in my dream. And in that dream, he showed me there was 3 people in that dream. And I kid you not, y'all, within like 4 months, all 3 of them had dropped out of my life for some stupid situation, honestly. You know, I wouldn't do nothing about it if he didn't give me a flat out answer, because I was just in denial. Another thing that I kind of like pitch to is in visions, when you feel, because you feel stuff so real and everything feels so real, and you're aware of your own conscience, like it just honestly feels like you go into another world when you do have a real vision, and things just look kind of like loopy or like amplified, or just feel so like real and like a woozy dream state. I like to believe that it's because we're in the spirit realm. When you have a vision, that's the spirit realm. That's you in the spirit. That's stuff that's going around in the spirit, because the spirit realm is so amplified. Spirit realm is something that is so complex that goes way beyond the human understanding. So especially when we do see things, when we do have visions and we do see things that we don't necessarily know, or we don't necessarily understand, or just doesn't make any sense at all, it's because it's not in our human understanding to fully grasp the idea and the complexity of the things that happen in the spirit. That's why you're able to feel and think as you would touch yourself and feel how you feel now, how everything just feels so real, and it really feels like you're just in another room doing you. Another vision that I had where things felt super realistic is when I remember I was in a school, and I was walking with one of my closer friends at the time, and I was walking, and he had this guy friend. And now that I think about it, I wonder if it was the demon that was with her. That was this guy, because it was like her and this guy was really close. But I had turned around to walk to this class, and the guy had stabbed me right here, and I felt it. I've never been stabbed before, but I could literally feel the sharpness of the knife. And I remember turning around and seeing the look on her guy friend's face when he stabbed me in the back. And I remember vomiting blood. And it felt so real. It actually felt like I was vomiting in real life. As soon as I had felt the knife go into my back, I can remember feeling all the emotions of betrayal. It was like my spirit knew that I had been betrayed, not literally in the spirit, which was backstabbing, but also in reality too, as whatever that friend had done to me to go behind my back to backstab me in that way. But it came to me in the spirit as her or who was with her to come stab me in the back. That felt extremely, extremely real. So that was a vision too. So I do like to believe that visions are really things that are happening in the spirit and trips we can take, our spirits can take to the spirit realm. That's my spill on dreams and visions. That was long. That was the longest one. Okay. The next is people. People are pretty self-explanatory, honestly. You know, sometimes you may encounter angels you may not really realize or know at the beginning that they are angels. He might speak to you through a pastor, or you may feel the drawnness to say something or to give this stranger in public encouragement, and then they come and start ministering to you or say something to you that you may have been pondering on that you need to hear. I have been like learning, and it has just fully downloaded in me that when God prompts you to go out and say something to a stranger or say this really specific thing to a stranger, it's because God knows what they're going through. And even if you know this person and you look at them on the outside and they're like, oh, why would God want me to tell them that God loves them, or look how they live, or they say they don't even believe in God, but you don't know that they may be secretly trying to pursue God, or their curiosity has been striked to follow Jesus. God knows something you don't about the person, so we can't always go by what they put out to the world, because God knows what they're thinking about. God knows where their heart is. God knows what they're seeking. So through the word in his Bible, that's my next one. The longest time I low-key didn't understand what it meant when people said, oh, God speaks the most through the Bible. But I'm just like, how? But the key to honestly see the patterns in God speaking to you in the Bible is to read it as much as possible. I'm telling you from my experience, because I have been on a really good streak. I've been reading my Bible, even if it's not a full-blown study session, but I have been reading my Bible really consistently for the past couple weeks, at least once a day. As I've been, doing this, I have been able to say that I have been able to see God speak to me. Sometimes I don't really feel like every time I read the Bible, there's something that sticks out to me that I feel like God is particularly trying to say to me, but it has helped me learn more about God himself and how he does speak and how he does prompt people, and even how the people in the Bible teach me how God is, if that makes sense as well. For example, like Nehemiah, that was the most recent story that I had broke down and studied in the Bible. I even just think about how I saw how God moved through him and in him. And even in all the areas where it wasn't necessarily God talking or saying something to Nehemiah, but I saw God working through Nehemiah's actions that helped me understand God's character better and who he is. And it also just helps me apply that to my life and to be able to discern better how God can speak, or if I do feel like it is God prompting me to do something, that I can go back and verify it in the Bible and through the Bible if it aligns with his character and something that he would say or do and it doesn't contradict his word. Then that helps me get clarification that it really is God speaking to me and what I think it is. Yeah, so honestly, read your Bible as much as possible. And that's why it's also really, really important to pray before you read your Bible as well. Pray for him to speak to you. Say a prayer just like this. Just be like, Lord, as I take the time today to commune with you and spend time with you in your word, I ask that you open my mind, my heart, and my spirit to be open to your word, to engrave your word on my heart, and to comprehend and understand your word and your teachings, because God is the word. The word is God. And honestly, every single word on this Bible was written by God, and it was with God before God made the heavens and the earth. He just had people to use to write it so we can have the resource today. Next, I got signs and wonders. Signs and wonders is a huge genre on how God can speak to you. I will share an example of how many signs and wonders I got about my confirmation about how I should stay on my art and do my art and pursue my art. I went on a cruise last year, and I'm going to say my heart was pretty hardened with the place that I was with my art. And when I went on this trip, I was like, I don't want to think about no art. I don't want to see no art. I didn't want anything to do with art on this cruise. I didn't bring anything. All I brought was a book to read to entertain myself, not even my sketchbook or anything. And it seemed like on this cruise, everywhere I looked, it was something with art. The cruise was having art classes. There was a whole art gallery. There was an art auction. And I had even met an art teacher and had a conversation with an art teacher. Pay attention. And another thing, and this just came to me too. God likes to give signs in the world, not through your phone. He's not limited to doing it that, because he will. There has been times where I'm sure me and you have both gotten a sign from TikTok or a Pinterest post. But God likes to speak the loudest in the present. Don't go pray and be like, oh Lord, if this is so and so, please give me a sign and show me this and this and that, give me an answer. And then go, after you pray, you go on TikTok and you keep scrolling until you find somebody talking about Jesus, or somebody got a message for you on your For You page. Don't do that. Seek and you will find, but seek in the present. Seek God's answers and God speaking through the real world. Lastly, God will speak to us through our thoughts and desires. I feel like this really does take practice to get it down. When we seek God to speak from within us or through our thoughts and stuff, I feel like I said this in another video too, but we can't look to hear God as a separate voice inside us, because God is one with us. So he's going to sound like us. He's going to sound like our thoughts. Every good thing comes from him. So if you're walking out in public and you just get the random thought that sounds like your inner monologue to go tell that person to have a good day, that was God. And then they say, oh, thank you, that was what I needed. Then that was God. Your goodness comes from God living in you. It's not you, oh, I'm just being nice, I'm just a nice person. No, that's God's kindness. That's God's light trying to live and shine into the world through you. When we do feel like that God has put thoughts and desires on our heart, on things we should start to do, take it to prayer very consistently. And something that I like to ask too, when I do feel like my heart is being prompted or I'm being prompted to start something new, I always pray, Lord, if this is from you, I ask that you heighten the desire. And if it's not from you, I ask that you take the desire away. That seems to have been working for me. Another way to feel like you really can hear God's prompting to speak from within you as well is sit in silence and you're gonna have to be okay with being silent and not feeling every free or spare moment you have with music or podcasts or background music. You're really gonna have to get comfortable with silence, because God is quiet. His voice is quiet within us. You're not gonna be able to hear him if your brain and your atmosphere is always filled with the loud life and filled with TikTok and filled with music. Good way to practice this, honestly, is take special time out of your day to pray and dedicate this prayer time to God. Take the time to go into a quiet place, just what Jesus says in the Bible. You do that, and when you pray, after, just get up quickly and go about your day. That's the same way as talking on the phone, not letting the other person get a word in. Then when you done talking, you hang up the phone and go about your day. That's what it's equivalent to. So after you pray, just be like on the end, Lord, I ask at this time that if there's anything that you want to speak to me or say to me, I ask that you clear my mind. I ask that you quiet all of my thoughts, make my spirit still so I can be able to hear you clearly. You can say something like that, or, you know, around that, something like that. Sit in silence. You can even set a timer. You can also just take random times out of your day, even before you go to bed. Just take the time, maybe a 2-minute timer, a 3-minute timer. I think 5 is a good, five is really good. May not even happen within that 5-minute timer, but I guarantee you, you'll still be prompted at some point where you might get a random thought to start something, or you might get that random clarification or peace in your spirit about a decision you've been praying to make. Like it finally feels okay, and you finally feel at peace with what you've been seeking God about. So, but you got to catch it. You got to catch it. You got to pay attention to it though. So a lot of times I'm asking God for an answer, and then an hour or two later, I'm getting that thought. I'm like, oh man, you know, I think I'm gonna go through with that. It's well with my soul to proceed with that decision. Then the enemy can quickly throw it in and be like, you know what? Nah, I need like 3 more sounds. Nah, I don't know. It still could just be me. I don't know. Yeah, so that was today's episode on how God can speak to you. I hope there was something you can pull from it, or this could be your confirmation or your sign, or God is using me to speak to you. I'll see you in the next video.